Hello and welcome. This is the Siberian here, and in today's Total War Talk, I want to discuss the solution to all of Total War's problems.
Your savior is here!
Okay, no, not really. I don't know everything. I am not the savior of Total War. But with that said, I do think I have worthwhile thoughts that I'd like to share. In my last two Total War talks, I laid out my critical views on Creative Assembly's dedication to spectacle satisfaction at the expense of a tactical and immersive, or what I termed the great man satisfaction. And then I also attempted to reframe the historical versus fantasy debate into much more helpful terms. And then I ended that last video on the historical versus fantasy debate with this little clip. The differences are in gameplay, and so I would challenge both sides of the community. Think critically about what gameplay would be engaging to all Total War players. And wouldn't you know it, I have decided to take my own challenge. And so, after much thought, reading other people's opinion, developing my own opinion, watching whole video essays just dedicated to this subject, I have realized something profound. What I have to say does not matter. CA, first and foremost, is a business. So no matter how much the likes of me or other much more prominent YouTubers or the players of traditional Total War games complain or shame the company, they're going to keep making Warhammer style games because those games give them the easy bucks. As long as they're making money, why should they change? And so for this episode of our Total War Talks, I want to speak the business language and perhaps propose a solution that might help unite the community a bit as a bonus side effect, but most importantly, get CA a tasty bit of profit. Diversify. This is a classic business idea. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. But Siberian, you say, are you advocating that they don't focus on Total War anymore? Sorry, you probably don't sound like that. And that is actually not at all what I am saying. In fact, I'm saying that they should double down on their Total War franchise. But instead of trying to make one game that makes everyone in the community happy, CA needs to know the differences in their own community and tailor their games towards those differences. And CA, if you're watching, in case you need a little help with that, I want to get you started and on your feet. So our first point is, what are the differences in the community? I think CA has fundamentally misunderstood the differences that do exist in their community. And the division of their teams shows this. CA has the two teams. They have a historical team and a Warhammer team. But the main thing that divides the community is not whether one series is fantasy and one is historical. The main division in the community is arcade fun versus simulation immersion. Most quote-unquote historical fans, and this is myself included, aren't as concerned about the setting of the game so much as the lack of groundedness and realism. While on the other hand, most quote-unquote fantasy fans don't care at all if the setting is historical or fantasy. They just get bored by the lack of monsters and intense action and visual in CA's historical older games. Let me give a little illustration. Let's compare the Dark Knight trilogy and really any Marvel movie. They're both in the superhero or comic book genre, but they appeal to massively different people for absolutely different reasons. Imagine if you were able to cash in both on the audience that enjoys the grounded realism and feeling of real life superhero that the Dark Knight trilogy creates, but you were also able to cash in on the goofy, fun, lighthearted, costume wearing superhero genre that Marvel creates. If you were to tap into both audiences, you would have an absolutely massive fan base. And many of those fans would overlap and buy both products. And I have to wonder, why wouldn't CA do the same thing with their games? So number one is to know the differences in your community. And number two is to change your development team's focus accordingly. In order to keep the Warhammer / arcade style game fan base satisfied, but also not lose the historical / simulation fan base completely, I think a restructuring of the two development teams is needed. I would encourage CA to dedicate one of their teams to push even deeper into the streamlining of features, making it super accessible with stunning visuals. This can be pure fantasy settings like Warhammer. It can also be the quasi fantasy like Troy and 3K. But CA also needs to dedicate their second team, what's labeled as their historical team now, into creating an in-depth simulation style game with complex mechanics and a true sandbox campaign experience. This diversifies your products, which in turn maximizes your attentive audience, which in turn boosts your profits. And I think you'll find that more people will cross over between the two types of games than one might first expect. Using myself as an example, though what I really enjoy and what gives me truest satisfaction in the game is deep and meaningful gameplay, there are times when after a long day I just want to sit down and have some dumb fun. There's a place for both of those things in my life. And if I had two separate games that could provide me two different things, I would play them both. And so my solution for Total War, the solution to all of Total War's problems, is really fairly simple. Instead of trying to railroad the whole community in this new direction that Warhammer has taken the series, provide alternatives. Attempt to make both communities happy, and you'll make more money. CA, just hear me out. You're already making a new historical game. I know it's got to be in the works. You have a team dedicated. And if the current trends in your historical games continue, most likely, many historical fans, quote unquote, will find it too arcadey. And many Warhammer fans will find it far too boring. Diversify, and you will be better off for it. Specialize a game for arcade style gameplay, and specialize a different game for simulation style gameplay, and you will rake in the cash. Anyways, that's all I have for this episode of Total War Talks. I hope you guys have thought this at least was interesting. I know many people will have their own opinions, and I encourage people to talk. Let's avoid the ad hominem. Don't attack people, attack ideas. Post them down below. Get a like there if you liked it. Feel free to dislike this video if you didn't like it. I don't care what you think. I'm gonna do what I think is best. And with that said, have a great rest of your day, guys, and I will catch you on another video. Bye.